Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jada Blossom, and I am here with another Octagon Treat Box video. Hey everybody, so I made this in a previous video. You can check out my YouTube for that. And to make that, I used our Octagon Dies Christmas Add Ons one along with our Octagon Treat Box dies. And then for the rest of the card, I'm using the card mat dies, candy grid dies. I'm actually not using the scallop circle dies. That's a fake out. I use the Holly Jolly Christmas, our Christmas Candies revamped stamp sets, along with our Scalloped Oval dies and our Stitched Oval dies. And our rectangle dies and our stitch square dies. So a lot of stuff. So I've got a piece of red poppy cardstock from Paper Tray Ink, 4.25 by 11. I'm scoring it at 5.5 and then at 2.75 inches because I'm going to be making a pedestal card today. So you fold it in half. I used my Martha Stewart scoreboard and my Teflon bone folder. And then now I'm just going to, again, reinforce that fold with my Teflon bone folder, and then that is the base of the card. So I went ahead and I cut out a piece of pattern paper from Doodlebug's Night Before Christmas line. That is the Night Before Christmas, and I cut out the card mat die, and then I'm going to cut that in half at 2 5/8 inches with my Fiskars cutter, and I'm going to stick that down onto the front of this card base using this glue tape runner that I don't know the name of. I'm just going to basically center it. That's what I'm going for. And then I always kind of leave a bit of a gap where the fold is, just so it folds nice and neatly. So I'm just going to get this one on. Now all my die cutting was done with my Gemini machine, like always. There we go. Just making sure I get that glue runner off my mat. And then you see I leave a little gap there just for the fold. And there we are. Just making sure it's stuck down well. And then I went ahead and I cut out a stitch square. That is 3.5 inches. I cut it out of my red poppy cardstock just for some stability. And then I cut out that brick pattern from the Milk and Cookies 6-inch pad. I was showing you the 2 pads that I used there. And then I'm just going to line them up. There we go, and stick them together. And I'm just trying to make a stable chimney. That's what I'm going for. And then I cut out a rectangle out of American Crafts gray cardstock. And the rectangle is 4 inches wide by 2 1/4 inches. But I actually do some selective die cutting and then cut the width down to 1 3/8 inches. I just lined up the stitching and partially ran it through my Gemini machine. And I'm just making the top lip of my chimney. Sorry guys, I'm having a major brain fart today. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, and I'm just going to stick the top of my chimney down onto my chimney. And you'll notice that I did put a piece of red poppy cardstock behind that because I want it to be nice and stable because it's going to be standing up there. And now I'm going to add, well, I'm planning on adding my Santa face behind this chimney, sort of like he's popping out. I'm just going to stick his face down onto this. Now that's an A2 size card base, but obviously I go with a like beyond the parameters of that. So this is not going to fit into an A2 size card envelope, I mean. And I'm just trying to line this guy up, sort of like he's peeking out of the chimney. There we go. Now I did go ahead and I stamped some candy tops from the Christmas Candies revamped stamp set with Juicy ink from Ink on 3, and then I used Ranger's fine detail white embossing powder, and I'm just going to heat set that or melt it with my Marvy heat tool, and that's onto my pure poppy cardstock. I thought I'm making one, I might as well make a few, right? That was my plan. And then I'm going to cut them out using the candy grid dies. I actually used the candy grid die to kind of line them up where I was going to stamp them. I'm only using one of these today, but I figured, you know, if I'm stamping, I might as well stamp them all out and I can put them in the package with the stamp set. There we are, lining it up. And then I will cut that out using my Gemini machine again. There we go, tape it in place, make sure it doesn't run around or not move around, you know what I'm trying to say. So now I've got a piece of, this is my cheapo white cardstock. I think it's Nina Classic Crest 65 pound, cut at 4 by 5 1/4 inches with my paper trimmer. And I'm just going to line that up in the center. There we go. And now I've got a strip of the Pure Poppy cardstock. It is like 1¼ inches wide. Or is it 1½ inches? 1½ inches. And then I've got a 1-inch strip of that pattern paper from the Milk and Cookies pad with little Santas on it. There we go. I'm just going to line it up in the center, and then I'm going to stick this down on the bottom of this card base. There we are. The idea is that I'm going to be putting that little ho 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 candy grating in the center, popping it up, and that's what I'm going to use to stand my pedestal card up. Here we are. So easy stuff. I'm going to go ahead and stamp a sentiment now from that, which one is it again? It's called Holly Jolly Christmas. And I'm stamping the sentiment, Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night. I'm using VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, just with an acrylic block, and I will stamp that down. And there's my little greeting in the inside. And I've got my little ho ho ho. And I'm going to line that up on the smallest scalloped die from the set. I'm just going to put that right in the center. That's cut out of paper tray ink white cardstock. And then the little red dot is, or the little red circle, the candy grid that I use the candy grid to cut out, that is out of Pure Poppy cardstock. And you see it kind of works as a stopper to make sure my pedestal stands up. There we go. So now I'm going to apply another 3½ inch square of that Pure Poppy cardstock on the back. Now normally I wouldn't do this, but because it's so tall, I want to add a little bit more stability. Now if it was the same height as the A2 size card base, I wouldn't need as much stability. So I went ahead and I used the smallest die to cut out the little stitched ovals out of black paper tray ink cardstock. And then I cut out that big scalloped circle. Let me see this. I wonder if I wrote it down. The size. I didn't write it down, but it's not the smallest. I think it's the next size up. And then I basically just sort of line up my little mitts on the top. I'm trying to make it look like the mitt has like a furry cuff, like Santa's furry cuff. And then I will trim the paper underneath it, you know, and when I pop that up on the chimney, it'll make it look kind of like he's, you know, holding onto the edge, giving himself a boost out. That's what I'm going for. There we go. So I will pop those up with my Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. Those are the normal sized ones. I'm just going to pop them up on the edge of the chimney, kind of like he's peeking out. There we go. And then I will stick that onto my card base. I'm using my ATG tape for that. And I'm going to line that up right on the bottom of that card and sort of center it. There we go. You really don't see that background paper too much, but you know, it's there. There we go. Pretty cute, eh? I think it's cute so far. I think it's all because of that Santa head. The Santa head is too darn cute. So I went ahead and I did some stamp surgery on that Holly Jolly Christmas stamp set. And I'm going to stamp Have a Holly Jolly Christmas. And I cut it in half. I also pulled out my word bubble dies that I did not mention in the beginning. I cut that out of white paper tray ink cardstock. And then I'm stamping again with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink and some acrylic blocks. And I'm just stacking the sentiment. Now this will go back together just fine. No one screamed. The stamps don't scream when you cut them. It's fine. I cut mine all the time. So now I pulled out a secure white jelly roll pen and a number 10, and I'm just going to add a few highlights to this. Everything that I used to make this Santa face will be listed on my blog. Just because I didn't show you me making it. But everything will be listed there. There we go. Or you could go back and watch a previous video of mine of me creating all the little heads for these cards. There we are. And now I'm going to pop up this little word bubble with some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals again, just for fun, right? Give it a little bit of dimension. Make it look a little bit more special. Right? That's the plan, Stan. There we go. And we're pulling off all the little extras on this, on these dimensionals. Now we're coming to the end of Christmas card season. Christmas is approaching. Now you can always make this for next year. I do make Christmas cards in anticipation of Christmas next year, just to, get a head start. But there you go. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog and the Jaded Blossom store. Maybe get your hot little hands on these dies and stamps. And thank you so much for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you soon in the next one. Bye, everyone.